Good morning, friends, and welcome back. Today I'd like to talk to you about the victim. And we've talked about the victim before, but there's a few different gray areas and different categories involving the victim mentality. So I did want to let you know that my daughter's birth mom is wanting to come and talk with you all and be involved in a video. So I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to present some questions you might have for her as far as what is it like to be a biological parent of a RAD child. For that biological parent, that stereotype of it's your fault, and having all that blame put on you. Sometimes it's not all the biological parent's fault. Maybe there were mistakes made in the beginning. None of us can go back in time and fix those things. I think there's a lot more people involved in being at fault than just the biological parents. That would be all those enablers along the way. I know for my daughter, there were a lot of enablers. There's a lot more people involved in who's responsible for a RAD child. Of course, we want to blame somebody, but honestly, in the end, the person who's most at blame, once you recognize something needs to be changed and you're not changing it, it becomes your fault alone. No one else's fault. So, of course, this does not apply to young children. This applies to the older children and adults with RAD. And right on cue, the wind picks up. We're still remodeling inside of our house, so I'm kind of forced to film outside. Okay, so let's jump right in. First thing I would like to talk about is what a victim is. And basically, a victim is a control freak because they feel completely out of control. Number one, they do not want to take responsibility. Responsibility is heavy and it has weight to it. You will always see a responsible person in a position of leadership because they follow through. They take responsibility for their actions and they're faithful with responsibilities like, I'm going to use my husband as an example. He owns a hardware store here in our town. He's been faithful to get up on time every week and open the store. Even if he is sicker than a dog, he goes to work. He has to be responsible for all of his employees and their time schedules, their paychecks, and ordering for the store, and rain checks for customers, and just a whole host of things that the average person really wouldn't think about. So a responsible person has a lot of weight on their shoulders. So a victim will never be a good leader. They don't want to take responsibility. They don't want that weight. A strong person can carry that responsibility weight. A weak person cannot hold responsibility. They are unable to carry the weight of responsibility. Most people who are playing a victim will not come out and say that that's what they're doing, but you can recognize it. Number one, somebody else's fault. And everyone kind of has their own victim role. Some people will cry a lot, repeatedly say, I don't understand why this person did this to me, or why these things always happen to me. They'll play that poor me type of victim. And then there's another type of victim that will pretend to be strong. That doesn't bother me. Yeah, they did that to me, but whatever. That's kind of where my daughter, her category, as a younger child, she played the more poor me victim. As she's gotten older, I don't think she likes the title of victim because she obviously recognizes it as a weakness. So plays it off more of she's tough and it doesn't bother her. That's still a victim. It's still taking that victim role, just a different view of it, just a different angle of the camera. And sometimes they will act like the other person is playing victim. They'll turn it around. Oh, hi. We have a guest today in the video. So, yeah, a lot of times they will play the victim of the other person playing victim. A wise person can see through that. A wise person can clearly see what's really going on. Truth be told, a lot of people are fooled. They're themselves taking the easy way out. And honestly, who cares if that's what they're thinking? A victim will, or a victim mentality will always hold a grudge. They remember every little thing that you have ever done. Even if you've apologized to them, they will hold you accountable for it because they want to be a victim. They like to be in the victim role. And that way they've got it in their arsenal of, you know, their cards that they can whip out. You did this to me, you did that to me. So they can always be the victim. And you might even tell them, you know, that was 10 years ago, or that was 5 years ago. Doesn't matter. That does not matter. To them, it's just like it was yesterday. So that's something to keep in mind. Another common factor found in the victim mentality is that they are easily angered and led by emotions. This is because of that weakness that we talked about in the beginning, the strength of a responsible person and the weakness of a unresponsible victim. That weakness, they have no strength to lean on. So the only thing that they can lean on is what is most prevalent in their life, and that's their emotions. And to them, those things that they feel and experience through their emotions are reality. So even though it might not be, there's lots of situations that we've gone through where I've gotten angry, or you've gotten angry about something, or something triggered some other type of emotion in us, but it wasn't actually the fact. It was just a temporary feeling. Our feelings are not always fact. So a victim is unable to distinguish, you know, that whole logic and reason. Is this actually fact, or is this just, I got my feelings hurt, so it has to be real? Well, your feelings are real, of course, but the fact behind the cause of that trigger in emotions might not be reality. A lot of the feelings and emotions that a victim is going off of is internally triggered by jealousy. Jealousy is a huge factor in their life. They're always comparing themselves to someone else, feeling sorry for themselves, feeling entitled that they should have what other people have. They should be, you know, in a position of leadership, let's say, or some great job. But the fact is, they're going off of emotion. They're not recognizing that person is in that position because of all the hard work that they've put in, all the responsibility that they've taken to get themselves there. So that jealousy feeling is basically the guiding emotion behind all of the other emotions within that victim. They are also extremely critical of other people. They're always looking for faults in other people. And that goes back to how there's just an unbelievable amount of traffic today. So looking for faults in other people is going back to the jealousy and ran by emotions. Being so critical of other people literally is a jealousy reaction. They know within themselves they are not perfect, but they're not, again, using logic and reason and factoring in, well, maybe I'm not the easiest person to live with either. Maybe I'm not always considerate either. But they sure notice it when you don't do those things, because it involves them and their feelings. It's all about the feelings and the emotions. They do not think ahead and often burn bridges. I know we've all heard that expression. I just want to clarify what that means. Not thinking ahead, not thinking, how much is this person invested in my life? How much have they helped me? And thinking, well, if they've sacrificed their time and helped me so much in the past, I might need them in the future. This is somebody who I can always rely on. They don't think of that. They're going off of their in the moment emotions, and they will walk away. It might be a brief flash in their mind of, I don't want to end this relationship with this person, but that anger in them or hurt feelings in them might outweigh or be too strong of an emotion for them to walk away from, and they will end a relationship and walk away from someone who they might need in the future and burn that bridge. And once that bridge is burned, you can never go back across it to that person again. And it's a sad thing. And there are a lot of us out there who would take the time to rebuild that bridge for them, but you can only do that so many times. As any RAD mom would know that that's happened. Not so much for the younger RAD children, but for the older ones and the adult children that we've raised and they've moved out. We have rebuilt that bridge so many times, and they just burn it every time. At some point you have to say, okay, I get it. They have spent a lifetime mastering the skill of manipulation and abuse. They will accuse those people who do care about them, or anyone, so they can be the victim. They like to feel sorry for themselves. That's all they know. If that's what you've built your life on, that's all you are. If you have been told from a child, especially, I'm going to use my daughter as an example. Lots of people had said with her as a small child, oh, that poor thing, she didn't have her mom. Her mom abandoned her. Her mom left. So she grew up hearing that and believing I'm a victim. That's what her whole personality has been evolved around, is victim. These other people have enforced that victim personality that's developing by answering for her, saying in front of her, well, go ahead and let her. Her mom left her. I feel sorry for her. Everyone's feeling sorry. So she's entitled to all of these other privileges, well, of course, that's the personality that's going to develop. So, and then when a mom comes along who wants to develop a strong person to go out into the world and be a healthy individual in society, that's hard. That's hard work. That goes back to that weight of responsibility. That's hard. It's much easier being a victim and somebody else can do it for you. They have the hardest time putting themselves in someone else's place. It's all about them. And we know this as RAD parents. We see this in our children, especially when they're young. Well, that's a normal childhood thing. That mentality should start changing as they grow. They should be able to put themselves in someone else's place. How is that person feeling? Yes, they got mad at me, my feelings got hurt, but they had a right to get mad, and, you know, taking responsibility for their part in it. The victim does not want to take their responsibility for their part in it, so it's all the other person's fault. It's just much easier. You get a lot more attention, but the thing is, it's not lasting attention. These people who do enable them and do give in to them and take the responsibility for them, those people never stick around. They get tired, they get drained, because a victim mentality is like an emotional vampire. And I'm sure you've heard that phrase before. They're draining, it's tiring doing all the work. So these people will never stick around, so the victim is left alone, which enforces within them a more deep-seated belief that they are a victim. It's kind of a never-ending circle. They often talk about all the good things that they do or good accomplishments. They want to point those things out. They want to be a strong person. They want to be that person. It's not knowing how to do it. So, and you know, I always kind of compare it to lifting weights. And more so, I've had that comparison with studying the Bible. But this could be an emotional example as well. The more you do it, the more you practice it, the stronger you get. You're not going to be able to lift, let's say, 50 pounds the first time you try. At least I couldn't. I don't know, maybe you could. But the more you do it, the stronger you get. So, but that takes a lot of work, and a weak person is often a lazy person. If you were motivated, you would do it. But yeah, I hope this clears up some of what the victim is and the whole mindset of the victim. So anyway, hope you guys are having a great day. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.